Hey everybody, Keith McGinnis here at KCDC Designs out of Eagle, Nebraska. Let's talk about perceived value. Perceived value is a customer's own perception of a product or a service. It's how they perceive that particular product or service, especially in comparison to a competitor. So perceived value, I love to cook. I love to cook. I love to cook for others. I've put together large meals for my family. They love being my guinea pigs. But what I'm getting at is it's really important for me, presentation. How does that food look? How does that dish that I'm serving, how does that look? If someone looks at that plate of food and their instant thought is, oh my gosh, that looks delicious, I've already won half the battle. It might not taste that good, but by golly, it looks good. So that's really important to me because of what's that person's perception of what I'm about to serve them, okay? So that's always really important to me of that perceived value. How is that other person receiving me of what I'm saying, what I'm explaining, or what I'm showing to them? So we all have that. You walk into a restaurant that's filthy, you walk into a restaurant that's clean. You have a server who's going to seat you that is extremely friendly and polite. You have another one who seems to ignore you. Yes, that's an impression that they've put upon you, but that's also giving you a perceived value of that particular establishment. So let's get on to the work that we do. If you're doing epoxy work for customers, for other people, how do they perceive you and your business compared to the next epoxy artisan that they may be considering? How many of you, by show of hands, work from your home and work in your garage? And I would love to know in the comments if anybody actually raised their hand, like I did. If you're pouring epoxy in your garage, what are you explaining to the customer? Are you telling the customer that I've got a setup in my garage? I've got I build countertops in my garage, or I'm using my basement right now, or I'm using a spare bedroom. What's their perceived value of you and your business? You're working out of your garage, opposed to I do my epoxy work in my studio, and I fabricate countertops in my fabrication shop. Okay, so when I was doing this in my home before I built this building and have a dedicated studio, I was pouring epoxy in my home. But that's not what I told customers. I didn't tell them that my spare bedroom was lab 1, that my man cave and top of my pool table was lab 2 for the larger countertops. I told them that I do my work in my studio, and my studio is at my home. I work from my home. I have a dedicated studio for pouring epoxy, and I have a fabrication shop where I fabricate countertops. Or I have a spare bedroom and on top of my pool table, and I build the countertops in my garage. Or if, I know for some of you, you are doing everything in your garage. You're pouring epoxy in your garage and you're fabricating in your garage. That's perfectly fine. But to the customer, that's your studio and that's your fabrication shop. So it's that perceived value. It's their perception, again, of you, your business, your service, and what you have to offer and what you're providing. When you go out for a consultation and you're showing customers your sample boards, are you carrying a stack of sample boards along with you? Do you have them in some kind of a carrying case? Do your sample boards have drips on the bottom of them and you have to explain your countertops aren't going to be like that? Do you have some with top coat and some not with top coat? Do you have some that have just a color coat and nothing else on them, and you have to explain, well, it's not going to be that wavy, or you're not going to see those imperfections because I put a clear coat on top of that and then I put a top coat on top of that. So remember think about, I guess, what that customer's perception of you is and how they perceive you and your business. It goes a long ways. So if a customer reaches out to me and wants an estimate for countertops, and I go out for a consultation, and all of my sample boards have either top coat natural or top coat gloss, I've cleaned all the drips on the bottom of them, and I've painted the back side of those sample boards. And during the conversation, I tell customers I have a dedicated studio, which is temperature controlled. I have a dedicated fabrication shop where I fabricate the countertops, whereas the conversation with the next epoxy artisan they may be talking to says that they pour in their garage and they build countertops in their garage. What's that customer's perceived value of myself compared to that other person? And I may be higher in price, but it's the value that they feel that they are going to get with one person who may be less organized to the person who may be a little more organized, and the value of how they see me, my service, and my product. Okay, so that perceived value to me is very, very important. If I have someone come out to my studio and look at sample boards, I've probably got 50 of them stacked up. But when they come out, I have all of my workbenches cleaned off. I have my moving blankets on top of them. I have the sample boards set out, and I know when they walk through that door, they're going to think, wow, this is a very clean studio, and I have everything laid out and organized. So that's perceived value. That's really all I have for you guys today. Just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind of always be aware of, during any conversation, personal or business, always be aware of what you are saying to someone else. How are they receiving you? And how do you want to be viewed? How do you want to be valued? Regarding your business, how do you want people to see your business? Oh yeah, he does that out of his garage. Okay, no, he does that in his studio. Sure, it might be a garage, but it's my studio. So the higher value that people see you, okay, obviously you need to turn out a quality product, because even though that food looks fantastic on the plate, I still want it to taste good. I want a home run on both. I want them to say that looks amazing, and it tastes amazing. With their countertops, they look at the sample board, that looks amazing. By the time I install their countertops, I want to exceed what their expectations were of what they saw on their sample board. So keep that in mind. I'm not going to keep rambling on because y'all know me, and you know I can do that. I've got some notes here, and I think I covered everything. Thanks again, and once again, this is Keith McGinnis with KCDC Designs out of Nebraska. See y'all. Take care.